Is Howie Roseman cooking up another blockbuster move behind the scenes? Because let's be real, when it comes to bold front office decisions, Howie doesn't blink. We're talking about a general manager who's already pulled off 6 trades since the beginning of August. 6. That's not just aggressive. That's Howie being Howie. And now, the latest buzz surrounding the Eagles has fans absolutely losing it. Why? Because there are growing whispers that Philadelphia could be eyeing a trade for one of the league's premier cornerbacks, Denzel Ward of the Cleveland Browns. It all started to heat up after the Browns restructured Ward's contract. Now, if you know anything about NFL front offices, you'll know this type of move almost always raises eyebrows, especially when the guy calling the shots in Cleveland, Andrew Berry, used to work under Howie Roseman in Philly. These two have a relationship. They speak the same language when it comes to manipulating the salary cap. So when Berry pulled off the restructure, converting over $12 million of Ward's salary into a signing bonus and lowering his 2025 cap hit, Eagles fans were all over it. The conspiracy theories hit Reddit, Twitter, and even Ward's Wikipedia page, which briefly listed him as a member of the Eagles. You can't make this stuff up. But here's where it gets juicy. Nick Sirianni, head coach of the Eagles, is on record praising Ward, and not just in passing. Last season, after a hard-fought win against Cleveland, Sirianni was up at the podium with his kid. He told a story about how his son likes wearing jerseys, and he joked, "If you want a Denzel Ward jersey, go ahead because that guy's a baller." Now, that might seem like a throwaway line to some, but in this city, with this team, nothing is a throwaway. Sirianni has Ohio roots. Ward went to Ohio State. There's familiarity. There's admiration. And that admiration might be the spark to something bigger. Now let's talk about the actual situation on the field. The Eagles' secondary has some real question marks right now, specifically at cornerback number 2. Quinyon Mitchell looks like the real deal. A first-round pick who's already flashing signs that he could be a shutdown guy. But on the other side, that's where things get murky. Adoree Jackson had a rough outing in Week 1 against the Cowboys. Really rough. He was targeted 7 times, allowed 5 catches, all of them for first downs, and gave up over 100 receiving yards. That's 20 yards per catch. He also got flagged for pass interference in the red zone. And don't forget, one of those targets was a wide-open drop from CeeDee Lamb. It could have been worse. Pro Football Focus handed Jackson a coverage grade in the low 30s. That's near the bottom of the league. So yeah, cornerback is a problem. And it's not just a Week 1 overreaction. It's a long-term concern if the Eagles want to compete deep into the postseason. Look at the quarterbacks and receivers they have to face this year. Patrick Mahomes, Matthew Stafford, Justin Herbert, Josh Allen. Wideouts like Justin Jefferson, Devontae Adams, DJ Moore, Mike Evans, CeeDee Lamb again. The list goes on. There's no breathing room. If this team is serious about winning a Super Bowl, and we all know they are, then this might be the time to pounce. That's why the Denzel Ward chatter is so real right now. It's not just fan speculation. The fit makes too much sense. Ward isn't just a good corner. He's elite. A 4-time Pro Bowler. A former top 5 pick. He's got legit track speed. Ran a 4.32 in the 40. And he plays like it. Sticky coverage. Great instincts. He's posted double-digit pass breakups every single year he's been in the league. Last season, he led the NFL in passes defended with 19. Not only that, he's grabbed 17 interceptions in his career and has made a name for himself as one of the last true shutdown corners in the league. He doesn't just play a zone or float around. He locks in on elite receivers and makes plays. That's rare in today's NFL. And it's exactly what the Eagles need right now. Now here's the financial part, and it's where Howie Roseman thrives. The restructure in Cleveland lowers Ward's salary cap hit for this year, which means if Philly pulls the trigger, they get an elite cornerback at a bargain price in 2025. His base salary drops to just over $1 million. Chump change for a player of his caliber. And yes, the longer-term cap hits in future years are significant, but the Eagles are in a unique position. Their defense is not only one of the youngest in the league, it's also one of the cheapest. That gives them flexibility. They've got cap space, and they've got draft capital to spend. If you want to win a championship, you don't hoard draft picks. You go get the missing pieces. Let's not forget how he tried to do this exact type of thing recently. He reportedly made the biggest offer for Micah Parsons when the Cowboys were listening to calls. That's how far he's willing to go to land superstar. He knows what he's doing. His philosophy has always been clear. Build through the trenches, then build out to the corners. And in this case, the opportunity is sitting right in front of him. Think about the dominoes. If Ward steps into this defense, the entire secondary shifts. You could pair him with Quinyon Mitchell on the outside, and then let Cooper DeJean play more naturally in the slot or roam as a versatile chess piece. That's a scary trio. That's a playoff defense. That's a unit that can survive a gauntlet of elite receivers and quarterbacks. And right now, the Eagles don't just want to survive, they want to dominate. Even Vic Fangio admitted this week that Cooper DeJean took snaps on the outside, but the preference is to keep him inside when possible. That tells you they're still searching for the right formula at outside corner. Maybe it's Ja'Cory Bennett in the short term. Maybe it's Adoree Jackson again in Week 2. But if either one falters against Kansas City, the pressure on Howie to make a move only gets louder. And let's be honest, the Chiefs may not be stacked at receiver, but they've got Patrick Mahomes. And Mahomes doesn't need superstar weapons to carve up a defense. That's the measuring stick. That's the bar. And if the Eagles want to get over that bar, they may need to bring in someone like Denzel Ward. From Cleveland's side, there are some signals that a deal might be possible. Restructuring Ward's contract creates cap space. But for what? Maybe it's for flexibility, maybe it's to sign other players, or maybe it's to make Ward's contract easier to move. The Browns are still feeling the effects of that Deshaun Watson deal. They've got financial pressure, and they've got a long list of pending free agents. 27 players hitting the market after this season. That's a huge number. And if they're sitting around .500 near the trade deadline, they might decide it's better to sell off some assets and reload for the future. There's no guarantee, of course. Cleveland could decide to keep Ward and ride it out. But with Andrew Berry at the helm and Howie Roseman always lurking, this is the kind of deal that could come together fast. The Eagles have the leverage. They have the need. And they have the guts to make it happen. So, what would a trade actually cost? It's not cheap. Ward's an elite corner, still in his prime. A second-round pick? Maybe. A second and a third? Possibly. Would the Browns ask for a player like A.J. Brown? They might, but that's not happening. No chance. Philly isn't giving up a foundational offensive weapon for a corner, no matter how good he is. But that doesn't mean there isn't a deal to be made. With the right mix of picks, and maybe a young player, the Eagles could put together a compelling offer without gutting their roster. And Howie's got the reputation to get teams to listen. This whole thing might sound like a long shot. But if you look at the pattern, Howie's history, the timing of the restructure, the roster needs, and the connection between Roseman and Berry, it's not as far-fetched as it seems. The ingredients are all there. And if we've learned anything from past seasons, it's that Howie doesn't wait around when he sees a window. The Super Bowl window is wide open. This team is built to win now. They're young. They're fast. They're hungry. And if 1 week spot on defense can be fixed with a move for Denzel Ward, you better believe the Eagles are going to explore every option. Let's not pretend like this is just some fantasy football fever dream cooked up by bored fans on Twitter. This is a legitimate conversation happening around the league, in front offices and locker rooms, in coaching meetings. The Eagles know exactly what's at stake this season. They've built one of the most complete rosters in football, but no team is without holes, and for Philadelphia, the Achilles heel is crystal clear. That outside cornerback spot opposite Quinyon Mitchell has become a flashing red light, and it's only a matter of time before teams start targeting it over and over again. The Cowboys already did it in Week 1, and they barely even needed to get creative to expose the weakness. So now the focus shifts to what happens next. Because as of this moment, Adoree Jackson is still expected to start Week 2 against Kansas City. But let's be real, he's on a short leash. Vic Fangio knows it. SIRIANNI knows it. And you better believe Howie Roseman knows it. If Jackson has another performance even close to the disaster we saw against Dallas, there's going to be real pressure to make a change, and not just internally. The fan base won't tolerate it. This is a championship window, and you don't let that slip away because you were too hesitant to pull the trigger on a move for a player like Denzel Ward. And if they don't make a move, well, then the season gets a lot harder. Just look at the upcoming schedule. The Eagles are about to run through a gauntlet of high-powered passing offenses, elite receivers, and dangerous quarterbacks. There's no breathing room. Matthew Stafford and Puka Nacua in Week 3, followed by Devontae Adams and Mike Evans. Then Cortland Sutton, Malik Neighbors, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and it just keeps going. CeeDee Lamb again in Week 12. Amon-Ra, St. Brown, and Jameson Williams. DJ Moore, George Pickens, Terry McLaurin, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert. These are not mid-level passing attacks. These are units that will shred a secondary if you give them a chance. You think Quinyon Mitchell can hold his own? Absolutely. He's looked like a future star. But teams will avoid him and go after whoever's lined up on the other side. Right now, that's Adoree Jackson. Maybe it becomes Jacorian Bennett. Maybe Cooper DeJean slides over when needed. But none of those are ideal solutions. Not if you're serious about contending in January and February. Not if you're facing the 49ers, the Lions, the Cowboys in the postseason. Not if the goal is a Super Bowl ring. Now here's the key part of the equation. Denzel Ward doesn't just fill a need. He elevates the defense. He changes the entire dynamic of what the Eagles can do. You want to blitz more? You can, because you trust Ward to hold up one-on-one. You want to disguise coverages, rotate safeties, get creative with pre-snap movement? You can, because Ward gives you the confidence to play aggressively. He's the type of corner who doesn't just do his job. He gives the coordinator the freedom to call a different kind of game. That's what separates the good from the great in today's NFL. Think about what a move like this says to the locker room. It's not just about the X's and O's. It's a statement. It tells the team, we believe in you, and we're all in. That kind of message matters. Players feed off that energy. They see the front office going out and getting one of the best corners in football, and they know the standard. They know this is about more than just making the playoffs. It's about domination. It's about winning in December. It's about standing on that stage in February with confetti falling and knowing you gave everything to get there. And yeah, maybe the price is steep. Maybe it costs a second and a third rounder. Maybe even a player. But when you've got a general manager like Howie Roseman, who's made a career out of flipping mid-round picks into elite production, you're not sweating over those assets. You're focused on the window. The core of this team is young, explosive, and under contract. Jalen Hurts, Devonta Smith, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, all of them in their primes or just entering them. You don't wait. You go for it. Let's not forget, this isn't 2018. That Eagles team coming off the Super Bowl was older. The roster was filled with veterans whose best football was behind them. This version of the Eagles is different. It's built to win now and win later. The average age on the defense is one of the lowest in the league, and the cap situation is healthier than people realize. That's a rare combination. Most teams have to choose between competing now or building for the future. Philly's trying to do both and pulling it off. If there's ever a time to be aggressive, it's now. And if there's ever a player worth being aggressive for, it's Denzel Ward. You don't often get a chance to land a top 2 or top 3 player at a premium position in his prime. Under contract, productive, proven, and with scheme versatility. Ward can play man, zone, press, off. He fits in any defensive system. And under Vic Fangio, he could become even better. That's the scary part. Ward's already elite. In this system, with this pass rush in front of him, he could be absolutely devastating. Now look, there are no guarantees. Maybe Cleveland decides to keep him. Maybe they stay in the playoff hunt and figure Ward is too valuable to move. But they're also a franchise trying to navigate the fallout from the Deshaun Watson contract, a deal that's put their salary cap in a chokehold and forced them to get creative. They just restructured Ward. They're carrying a massive quarterback cap hit, and they've got 27 free agents coming up. That's not sustainable. Something's got to give. And if the Browns start slipping in the standings, if they're sitting at 3-5 or 4-6 at the deadline, they'll have to look at the big picture. They'll have to make hard choices. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our Philadelphia Eagles. And don't be shy. Share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Whispers are swirling in Philadelphia's football circles after what insiders are calling a highly controversial decision by Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni. Sources suggest that linebacker Ben VanSumeren has been abruptly dismissed from the team, a move that has left fans and analysts scrambling for answers. While official statements remain cryptic, the timing and circumstances of the separation hint at tensions that may have been simmering beneath the surface. Eyewitnesses close to the locker room report that the decision followed a heated exchange during practice, in which Sirianni allegedly confronted VanSumeren over his attitude and commitment. Though details are scarce, the episode is said to have escalated quickly, with Sirianni ultimately demanding that VanSumeren leave the club immediately. Some team insiders are calling the action unprecedented, suggesting it could signal a no-nonsense approach from the coach, while others question whether this abrupt move might fracture team morale. Fans on social media have reacted with a mix of shock and speculation. Some argue that VanSumeren, known for his intensity and on-field tenacity, may have crossed a line, while others defend him as a talented player who fell victim to a moment of miscommunication. Rumors are now swirling about possible behind-the-scenes conflicts, with whispers of disagreements over play strategies, training approaches, and even locker room dynamics. The incident has sparked debates among sports commentators, with some suggesting that Sirianni's disciplinary stance could be a bold attempt to assert authority, while critics warn it might create a perception of volatility within the Eagles' leadership. Despite the controversy, sources close to the team insist that the Eagles remain focused on their upcoming schedule. But the sudden departure of VanSumeren may leave fans and analysts questioning the team's cohesion. The story is still developing, and with insiders refusing to confirm specifics, the speculation continues to mount. For now, Philadelphia is left in suspense, wondering if this dramatic move will ultimately strengthen Sirianni's squad, or if it will prove to be a risky gamble with unforeseen consequences. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Philadelphia Eagles, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.